Basically, it's game on here in the UK at the moment. What we know, and we've just learnt this in the past couple of minutes, is that 15% of Theresa May's own party, her Conservatives, have secretly, or not so secretly, handed in letters saying they don't have confidence in Theresa May as the Prime Minister anymore. Now, all it takes is 15% of her party to do that, and they need to have a vote of confidence, if you like, a leadership challenge. So what we know is going to happen now is later today, on Wednesday, possibly towards the end of the day, there will be some sort of secret ballot where all the members of the Conservative Party will be asked, do they or do they not have confidence in Theresa May. Now, if she wins that, and she just needs a simple majority, then she is safe, so to speak, although, depending on how the numbers look, she may choose to step down. Now, we don't think that's the sort of way Theresa May would go. She is a fighter. She's been fighting through this Brexit process, and she's unlikely, we think, to give away the premiership quite so easily. Can she win this or can she not win this? This is, of course, the big question that's flying around Westminster at the moment. Now, a couple of weeks ago, it looked like this was going to happen. It didn't happen, and at the time, it was because it was thought that Theresa May would probably win any leadership confidence vote. Things have changed slightly here now, particularly after her decision to scrap her Brexit deal vote in Parliament on Tuesday. So there are a school of people within her party who think that was the wrong decision, and they don't like the attitude that she's taken. They feel that she's not going to Brussels fighting for a better deal for the UK, and they think she needs to be out of the way and someone more ambitious for a harder Brexit should be in her place. On the other hand, and I must point this out, there are already numerous numbers of MPs who are coming forward to say this is a terrible decision. We should not be trying to change leaders at this very critical moment in British history. They believe it's unsettling. They think it's self-serving in some ways, and that the community and the public here in the UK would be appalled that while Brexit is in such a mess, Theresa May is being challenged and her MPs are jostling for her job.
OK, so as you pointed out, there are three potential scenarios, aren't there? She wins the no-confidence vote and she stays. She wins the no-confidence vote, but by not enough of a margin to justify her staying, and chooses to step down as Prime Minister. She loses the confidence vote, and then she has to step down. What happens with the ballot? Do we know what the mechanics of the ballot are, and whether we're going to definitely have a decision today on that result?
Well, we're being told that, yes, we should have at least the ballot today, and I would suspect it's a pretty easy ballot to work out the result of. So I would suspect by the end of the day, it's very likely that we will know whether or not she's won the ballot. Then, of course, the decision is, does she stay on if she's won, or does she not? Or if she hasn't won that ballot, what happens next? Well, this will take a little bit of time, but not a huge amount of time. The way it works in the Conservative Party is if she loses, she must step down. And then people will throw their hat into the ring to take her position, take her job. They need to be nominated or backed by at least 2 fellow MPs. Then what happens is they have votes just within the MPs in Parliament till they whittle it down to just 2 candidates. At that point, then it will go out to the further Conservative membership base, and they will have a chance to vote on who they would like to take over the leadership position. Now, we're being told that this could be achieved by as early as mid-January, that it doesn't have to be particularly protracted, and you would suspect in these times, in Brexit England and Brexit UK rather, that this would be expedited as quickly as possible. What we also need to look at perhaps is who would be throwing their hat in the ring to take over from Theresa May. Now, as far as I know, when we came on air a few moments ago, no one had actually officially said they would like to take her job, but there are a number who we believe are in the wings and may be interested in her job. The first name that comes to mind, and probably will be quite well known to most of our audience, is Boris Johnson, the former Foreign Secretary, also the man who was the engineer of Brexit. Now, I'll point out he had a haircut over the weekend. Some say he was preparing for a leadership tilt by tidying himself up. But what we know is that he certainly has wanted this job in the past. Whether or not he's still got the support of the Conservatives is another question. His tenure as the Foreign Secretary perhaps didn't go so well. He has been upsetting many within the party. This is not a public vote. This is a party vote. So he may not be the front runner here. There are other names that are being thrown into the hat as well. Sajid Javid, he's the Home Secretary at the moment, a rising star, if you like, of the party. He has even laid out just today in one of the magazines here what he would do if he was the leader. He's sort of given an idea that he would like to change things up a bit around immigration. He would change the policy of trying to reduce immigration and move it more towards sensible immigration, I think is what he's after. He believes in immigration. There are a number of other names in the hat as well, possibly the former Brexit Minister, Dominic Raab, also another rising star, and seen as someone who could possibly get into position and move on the Brexit debate, because this is what this is all about, Adnan. Whoever replaces Theresa May, can they do any better on this Brexit vote that's going on at the moment? You know, Europe has made it abundantly clear that the deal on the table is the deal on the table. So plenty of people, particularly the public, saying, well, why are we having a leadership vote? Theresa May's done her best. They don't necessarily think any other leader would get any different kind of deal from the European Union. But perhaps if one man can, it might be the man who was sitting at the table for so many months there, Dominic Raab. So he's certainly there as well. It's worth pointing out that Jeremy Hunt, the Health Secretary, he was supposed to be thought to be one of those who might challenge. He's come out very quickly saying he won't be challenging. He'll be backing Theresa May in the vote because he believes it's just too unsettling and too self-serving of the party to make a change now.
Sarah, you've alluded to one of the key issues there. OK, clearly this is all about Brexit. But in terms of the dynamics itself of the Brexit process, let's remind the viewers, 29th of March, the United Kingdom is going to leave the European Union as it stands at the moment. We know some of the names of people who have submitted letters to trigger this motion of no confidence. Some of the other names are secret. But it seems, does it not, that it is people who are more in favour of a hard Brexit that are driving this forward and want to get rid of Theresa May. If that's the case, what does it mean for Brexit itself? First of all, does it mean that the idea, which Theresa May herself has said is not going to happen, the idea of a second referendum to give the people of Britain another chance to vote on whether they want to leave the European Union, that that's off the table? And does it also mean that we're looking at possibly a hard Brexit and the UK leaving the European Union without a single agreement on its departure?
Well, I think it's probably a little bit too early to say definitively which way this could go. Certainly the hard Brexiteers, you're right, have been pushing for this leadership change. This is where the momentum has been coming from. They're very angry with Theresa May, with the way she's taken this Brexit movement. They think it's far too soft. They think it really does leave the UK and the EU far too aligned for their liking in the future. And so they have been pushing it. They also think that she's not pushing hard enough in the negotiations, that she's not ambitious enough. So clearly they want her out of the way, and I think you're right, they definitely want to go down a harder Brexit route. They want less ties with the European Union. It all comes down a little bit to timing though, I think, because we are, as you mentioned there, starting to run out of time. If they have this leadership challenge, and we don't exactly know how long it's going to take, but we're told probably somewhere early to mid, maybe early January, they'll have this sorted out. It doesn't leave much time to make a move on Brexit. So as you mentioned, March 29, that is the deadline. There is an option, of course, perhaps to stall the deadline, so to speak. They could ask for an extension on what's called Article 50, and that's the process that leads to Brexit Day on March 29. Perhaps there could be a stalling there. I think those who want a softer Brexit will certainly be pushing for that, and will be using the uncertainty that this leadership challenge has created to argue for that. On the other hand, you're right, though, if the hard Brexiteers get their hands on the leadership, they'll certainly be hoping that time does run out, because they would rather a hard Brexit. And you would think that as the weeks tick by and the closer we get to that March 29 deadline, it becomes just too impossible to change track. It could just be that whether the UK likes it or not, these hard Brexiteers could push them to a hard Brexit. It may be an accident, it may be done on purpose, but it could just be that time runs out. So yes, I think we're looking now at this hard Brexit being more of an option perhaps than it was before. It changes so many things though, because there's supposed to be a parliamentary vote that could possibly stop hard Brexit, but that was only when we were talking about Theresa May's plan. Now this goes out the window. Is there going to be another plan? Perhaps we're talking completely academically here. Perhaps Theresa May will win this vote and she will struggle on and see how she goes. But what it does show is that there is not really a lot of support for her plan, and she's going to have to make some changes if she does hold on to the leadership.